Judy Wiley, occupation office worker, age 44. Human or dancer? It's 4 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. Judy Wiley's kitchen is a mess. The remains of a roast chicken are stuck to a basting tray on the work surface. An empty wine bottle and 4 crushed lager cans on the draining board. Dirty glasses, screwed up paper napkins, saucepans in the sink, a thin meniscus of vegetable detritus in the topmost. It's so hot in here that the condensation is streaming down the inside of the windows. The digital display on the oven shifts to 4:03. The door opens and Judy comes in carrying a tray loaded with plates. Her face is flushed and her hair damp. She puts the tray on the kitchen table, puts her hands over her ears, and screams silently. She stands absolutely still for a moment in the middle of all this clutter before throwing open the French doors to let in a gust of freezing air. She breathes in and then goes over to the sink and removes the saucepans. She turns on the hot water and starts to rinse the plates before stacking them in the dishwasher. Why, she is asking herself for the umpteenth time, do I bother? Every other Sunday she cooks lunch for her daughter Rachel, Rachel's husband and son, Judy's grandson, Kieran. A daughter with whom she has nothing in common and who she doesn't understand, never did, even through all those years when there were just the two of them. When Judy's husband left them when Rachel was 3, she was relieved, glad to see the back of him. His departure seemed like a welcome opportunity to rectify such a huge mistake, to start over. She knew things would be tough, but she could imagine the two of them, her and Rachel, against the world, growing ever closer, the perfect little team. In the event, it hadn't worked out like that. Rachel was unimaginative and unresponsive. Judy had pictured them having fun and telling each other everything, but Rachel proved taciturn and closed. Judy had hoped for curiosity and laughter from her daughter, but Rachel was remote, dim and pedestrian. And now Judy has long since faced up to the fact that her daughter is hard for her to like. The truth is that when Rachel married young and left home, Judy felt as relieved as when her husband had deserted her all those years ago. She felt oddly grateful to the son-in-law who had rescued her from the boredom of her own daughter's company. And of course she felt guilt. How unnatural must she be to feel like this? Hence the fortnightly lunch, a way of keeping in touch with her only child and a way of repaying her debt to the man who had taken her daughter away from her. Only it's always so dull. Always this undercurrent of disaffection. A song that Judy likes comes on the radio. I'm on my knees looking for the answer. Are we human or are we dancer? That's a good question, she thinks. I guess I'm human, but maybe it's possible to be both at the same time. Perhaps there's a dancer inside me somewhere. Perhaps there's even a dancer inside Rachel. Talk about deep cover. But then she suspects that maybe that's not what the song's about at all. The door opens and Rachel comes in with a tablecloth that's obviously full of crumbs. How, Judy wonders, did she produce this great pallid lump of a girl with the petulant face? What happened to all that glamour and lightness she had hoped for? Where did those big arms and that look of permanent disappointment come from? Are you all right, Mum? Judy realises that she is sitting at the table. How is she to answer this? She can hardly say, I was just taking a moment to think about my life. And besides, she knows what her daughter means is, why are you sitting there? I hope you're not going to leave the rest of the clearing up to me. Yes, I'm fine, thanks, darling. Thanks so much for bringing the tablecloth in. I'll be back in a moment for the rest of the stuff. Rachel goes over to the French doors and closes them. Judy can't think of anything else to say, so she tries, how's Steve? Rachel's big white spud of a face goes tight. Oh, he's asleep in front of the TV. Insisted on watching the rugby and fell asleep. I suppose it's too much to expect that he might play with Kieran. I have him all week, and then it's the same at weekends. Judy knows that she's in potentially dangerous territory. I expect he's had a tough week. And I haven't, I suppose, says Rachel. I'm the one who has to juggle work and childcare. But it's always poor Steve. Not just you, but everyone. Judy thinks, I can understand that. But she says, you're doing a wonderful job with Kieran. Mollified, Rachel goes to pull another chair out from the kitchen table. But before she can do so, Judy jumps to her feet and says, "Listen, darling, you must be exhausted. Why don't you go and have a little nap and send Kieran in here? He can help me finish off, and then I'll make tea." "Well, if you're sure." The door swings shut behind her. Judy heads back to the sink and starts to tackle the saucepans with a scouring pad. She pushes a damp lock of hair from her forehead. She hears the door open behind her. She turns, and there's Kieran in his Sunday best, a little shirt and tie. Judy thinks, who dresses kids like that today? "Hello, sweetheart," she says. "Have you come to help Granny?" And when he turns his absurd little face to her and smiles, she experiences a rush of love so intense and so unexpected that it takes her breath away. Winded, she puts one hand on the draining board to steady herself.